8. My name is Steve, one of the co-hosts of the show, and as always, I'm joined by
Ron.
Woof, 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 woof.
best quote you've ever done. Like, there it is. It's the best one.
And John.
And John. Good to see you guys.
Yes, good to see you fellers as well.
Ronald was mentioning it was nice to see each other on a Wednesday, or he feels that it's that. We usually fluctuate between 2 days, but the rare Wednesday has come into play this week, so
Yeah.
recording a little earlier than normal, but that's
And I'm
fun.
not whooped. I'm not whooped. Like,
Yeah,
normally
yeah.
I'm like whooped.
Yeah, I can tell you're awake.
You've only
You know?
been lightly beaten today, it seems.
Yeah, that's what it is. You know what it is? I drink so much caffeine in preparation for this.
That'll do it.
You know what sucks? When I do that and then we agree on the day and then it's like, I don't think we can do that day. And I'm like, I've drank an astronomical amount of caffeine. And I'm like, I'm gonna play this video game till 1 a.m. Yeah, so
No, I know that feeling. I find that when I have had what I think for most people is like a proper night's sleep,
yeah.
I feel like weirdly electrified.
Yeah,
like all day
man.
long, I'm like, what is this? What is this awareness and like comfort and like productivity I'm feeling? But today I've had one of those days where like I've been so busy for so long, but today I finally got where I had time to catch up on some things. So I've still been very busy, but it's like I feel that weird relaxation you feel when you kind of feel like, well, I now have time to do the things or
That's
to
a good
deal with
feeling.
the things that are stressing me out. So it's like the stress is there, but when the time is there, it makes you feel a little relaxed. So does whatever I put into this drink. I don't know. But yes, we are here. This episode is our Halloween episode. So not only is this, a fun episode for us, we've always tried to do something. It's been a while since we've done like a theme or a list episode for Halloween, but we used to do those pretty regularly. So
Yeah.
if folks want to, if you're a new listener and you never listened to those classic list shows, go back through for at least a few years there. I think around Halloween we had like a fun horror themed list. But today it did work out nicely that we have a horror film, or at least a spooky film, to talk about. And I don't know if you guys saw anything. Well, we're going to talk a little bit about Welcome to Derry as well, correct? So
That's right.
yeah, that's Good Boy and Welcome to Derry. Those are two seasonally appropriate, holiday appropriate topics.
Yeah, for sure.
Agreed. Yeah, that sounds good. Ronald, I guess we'll go right into required viewing. You wanna remind us of your choice? John just teased it, said it, but tell us a little bit about Good Boy and why you chose it.
So I chose Good Boy, a horror film, a thriller, a horror film. I'm gonna say horror
Yeah,
film.
I mean, let's not do this thing where we debate whether every horror film needs to be classified as a horror film.
Yeah.
We kind of know what the broader genre is. I was just talking about this with my students today.
All right,
I think it's a horror film.
yeah.
I think it's a horror movie.
I think it ticks the
Yeah.
boxes.
Yeah. There's enough screaming in it. There's enough screaming in it.
And figures and things that are
Yeah,
great.
dark
yeah.
figures and right.
And one person just acting their asses off, and that's Indy. But yeah, this is a movie directed by Ben Leonberg.
That's not a person, by the way, Ronald. I know maybe you thought that was a man in a suit, but that was a
I
real
mean,
dog.
that was a look, based on that skill, I'd say a person, man. Some of those reactions were like better than I would have reacted to being
Let's see.
cornered.
Yeah, I agree. He seems
yeah,
he's more
and-
expressive than any of the three of us.
Yeah,
He's great, man.
This goes a little
he was
beyond
incredible.
like, they say that sometimes when it comes to like emotions of animals, we put our stuff on people. Nah, man, this dog is like legitimately acting. Like there's some expressions that are like, I kind of want to make wallpaper.
Well, I think we're only beginning to understand the emotional intelligence of animals, you
yeah,
know?
for
And if
sure,
you
man.
are around dogs or cats, but particularly dogs because they live to relate to you and please you so much. You really do see their emotions. And if you know a dog well, there's no question that they get embarrassed, they get they get
man.
petty, they get bitter, they are like happy when you're getting along again. I mean, there's very much the spectrum, you know. So I do think people still project on animals, but I think in this case, yeah, I think this movie definitely plays off of that feeling that a lot of us have anyway, where an animal is just, we're going to instantly relate to them and their plight. You know, you see this dog on
Yeah.
screen and you just instantly plug into him much quicker than you would an amateur performance from a human actor that you'd never seen before.
Yeah. Lot of what the hell? Lot of those faces.
Right.
What the hell's going on over here? Yeah, so it's it's kind of hard to, how would you describe it? I was trying to figure out how to describe this without giving anything away
Well, I think
in
it's
a
in
way.
the pitch, so I don't think it's hard to
Yeah.
say. It's like a ghost story or a haunted house horror
Yeah.
story, but
Yeah.
instead of following a human protagonist with a dog who's like on the margins of the story, um, we're following a dog. So we're seeing it all through the point of view of the dog, not from point of view, but like the camera angles, the sound design, it all
Yeah.
suggests like this is what the dog is seeing and hearing.
Yeah, for sure.
But it's like in some ways, it's like a familiar sort of ghost story. But I do think I mean, the experiment is just, can you follow a dog through a story like this? Ronald, it was on your radar, obviously, that you picked it. But I mean, this is one of those cases where this is like a recent movie that we might have talked about anyway, because we would all probably have checked this one out. But like, how long
Yeah.
ago did you hear about this one? And were you kind of interested from the word go, like I was, when you just heard, oh, someone's doing that? I'd often thought, could you do that? Could you focus on the dog in the horror movie? Because there frequently is a horror movie. There frequently is a dog somewhere
Yeah.
in a horror movie.
I'd heard about it quite some time ago because it's not. I don't know the particulars about this, but I heard about this from a foreign blog because there's some thing about where it was filmed and how it was funded and something like that. Like that's not quite from America. So I'd heard about that portion of it. I'd seen a trailer that was in another language. I'd seen a bunch of stuff that was kind of like that. So I'd heard about it through different channels that weren't American at first. And
Hmm.
then I found out that it was being distributed here and it was under a different it was a strange thing. But yeah, as I started to hear more about it. In fact, when the leak came out, it was there was a whole bunch of language stuff with that. Like that's the whole thing. So I think this is an American director, but the funding or something about this is weird. Maybe the distributor or something is foreign. But yeah, there was some strangeness about the trailer because the first trailer I saw was not in English. So that's how I know about it. And yeah, I was interested. I mean, the perspective is cool. I mean, this is also from a person who hasn't yet to see the other one from the perspective of the killer. Goodness, what's the name of that movie? The one that follows him in the woods
Oh
Oh,
yeah.
uh, in a violent nature?
in a
Yeah.
violent nature. Yeah, so in a violent nature came out not too long ago. I was very interested in that. I haven't seen it yet. But yeah, good boy. I was very interested in sound design too. I'd heard a lot about sound design, so yeah.
Yeah, this one like registered earlier this year. I remember there was a lot of talk about it. It was at South by Southwest and what's it, the Overlook Film Festival
Mm,
in March and April. And I remember like a lot of people talking about this movie just simply because of the trailer and the poster.
Yeah.
And
Yeah.
like and
And the hook.
yeah,
Yeah.
like the main idea of what the movie was. And I think just the buzz around that and like the good reviews that it got at those festivals, I think is what kind of pushed it into, getting a bigger, because it was like a pretty decent theatrical release that it got
Hmm.
for a smaller company like IFC who distributed it, and then Shutter, uh, got additional distribution rights. But yeah, I don't know. It's a really great idea. It's a really cool thing to see how the system or the process works for a movie like this, which, carries a budget of $750,000, gets screened at these festivals, gets good reviews, gets picked up by an indie, gets acquired for distribution by another service like Shutter, and kind of like expand its scope just based off of the idea and the reactions to the trailers and the posters, all that stuff, like the dog of it all. And, kind of sets the movie up for success in a lot of ways before anybody even had a chance to see it. And that's just not like normal buzz. Oh, that's an awesome trailer. A lot of those movies have something going for it before, it gets to that point because of, what studio is putting it out or who's in it. But this is a movie that, first time filmmaker, debut performance by Indy and like a really small budget movie. So it's cool to see how like the idea and the marketing material for it actually manifested some version of success for this film before it even came out. And the movie's done really well for a budget that it's had, and I think a lot of people are um going to be able to see it more widely on Shutter, and it'll probably be a very successful thing there. But I mean, I just feel like in general, it's cool when you see I don't know, it's just cool when you see that kind of thing happening for a movie that is a cool idea, that actually came to fruition. And I was reading like it's one of trying to find the gross here. Um, like I think it's IFC's second highest opening weekend for their releases, which is just
Wow.
that's awesome.
That's really good.
Um, I think it's only behind like maybe two other. I think it's behind what is it? Clown in a Cornfield and Late Night with the Devil. I think for the larger IFC entertainment group because they have that RLJ Entertainment underneath of it, which did Clown in a Cornfield, which was bigger than both of these. But I don't know. That's all just talking about stuff that had nothing to do with the actual movie. I thought the movie was really good. Like I thought it was really enjoyable to watch. I thought it had enough of the things that I like in kind of supernatural horror thriller movies like this. And I think there's enough of the human stuff happening in the background and in the scenes to kind of keep the story moving that the idea of the dog's perspective is not I didn't feel like it got tired or got worn out, and I mean the movie's only 70 some minutes long also, which helps helps that pacing to kind of keep the dog's perspective from going stale. Uh there's definitely some parts in the movie, like the script, and some parts where you're just getting like this some exposition and just like weird info dumps in the background when they're talking about stuff. Specifically when he like goes to the grandfather's house and he's like talking and saying all these things about it's videos and he taped over them and they were horror movie. There's just like weird dialogue choices that I thought were a little interesting. And again, that's like the human stuff, but
Well, I think that I would also say that the acting in those sections is
yeah,
not like the dog is a great animal actor.
for sure.
The people are okay.
Yeah.
I mean, in the context of a low budget horror film, you might expect some sort of whatever. I mean, again, amateur acting is
Right.
not bad acting, but it does kind of clunk it up
Sure.
a little bit compared to. I mean, if you're watching the video, you can see this expressive little dog face in my background image. Like this is pretty much a whole movie of that dog. I mean, that dog got a face card. He got dealt a face card, and he
Lucky
plays
guy.
he plays it in this film. But no, I would say that like I think you kind of hit on what I think the questions about this movie would be for someone. One is like, does it work? Like there's like, what did you think of it? All that stuff. But like, does it work? Like, does the experiment work? And I think fundamentally, yes, I think it's a more successful than not experiment. Can you follow a dog for a movie like this? But I think it's interesting that what you're saying that I agree with, which is that all the stuff with the dog pretty much works. It's the other stuff that doesn't work as well. And then I would say beyond that, there's a couple of moments where the film, which is actually very striking looking, I think it's a really nicely photographed
Yeah.
movie.
Yeah.
The parts where the photography kind of falls apart, when they go for like a greater scare, or they maybe overextend what they can actually get the dog to do in terms of like a scare moment. Those parts, I almost wish they had managed to just, I mean, maybe make it even more slow burny or whatever, not have those climactic moments where it doesn't really look like the dog is in any danger. Like there's a scene
Yeah.
where the dog's supposed to look like he's caught in a trap, and he kind of looks like he's having his belly rubbed. Um,
Yes.
and I don't want to see the dog suffer. So I'm not saying they should have more realistically depicted a dog suffering. I'm saying it's a problem for the movie to deal with that I don't think they deal with that stuff nearly as successfully as they do the stuff you're talking about, which I think I agree with you if I understand what you're saying. Like the best part of the horror movie is the bump in the night part, the part where the person's going, what was that, and trying to figure it out.
Yeah.
And the movie, that's the hook of the movie, right, Ronald? That like we've all had that thought, what is that animal looking at, what is
Yeah.
that, what do they see that I don't see? The movie plays with that beautifully. And so the scenes that really work are the scenes where it's like a dark room with a dark corner, and we see something in the darkness for a minute, and we see that the dog sees it, but the guy doesn't know it's there.
Yeah.
And the flip of that is it makes me think about all those times I've gone to like a rental house, and I don't think anything about my dogs kind of going around to like investigate the property, right? But like this movie makes you think, oh, not only am I now thinking, what do they see that I don't, but I don't like them running around alone in this house without me. You know, it's like that poor
Yeah.
dog is just checking
Yeah.
things out. But there's
Yeah.
moments where it's like, oh, it kind of sucks that we don't protect our dogs from dark basements or dark houses or whatever, that we kind of let them be the ones to poke around. So I don't know. All of that, I think the movie does a very effective job of leveraging all that stuff around a dog and the imagery. And there's some great moments where this dog stares at a wall, and the music and the everything just really worked on me. The overall storyline and kind of what you're saying, Steve, the way it's delivered in the exposition dumps, that stuff was like a little clumsier than how well shot it was and how well visualized it was. So I feel like it was
Yeah.
a little bit of a tug of war. But my fundamental comment would be, did they manage to do it? Does it work? I do think it works. I think it's an entertaining enough movie to watch.
Sure.
Ronald, you haven't said much about, you've talked about how much we love this dog and how much we love the look and feel of this. How did the movie itself work for you?
Um, I think enough. I think what you were saying is a solid statement. Enough of it works for it to be a good movie, but I think what I want to say about that is enough of it works for this to work, but that also means that a very hard thing to accomplish was done in this. Is like humanizing a dog is fairly easy. Humanizing a dog for, the length of a movie
Right.
in a situation that's really, I didn't even think about the perspective thing at all. Like in 15 minutes into the movie, where I was like, oh, I'm just following a character. Less than like, oh, this is a perspective that's being taken as a. Some people might think it's a gimmick. You know what I mean? Like it might be like,
Yeah.
oh, first person movie, where first person shooter movie or something like that. Damn it, hold on. Sorry, headphones. Yeah, some people may look at it like a gimmick movie, like,
Yeah.
and I think it's a little more than that because it it does a lot of tricks, sure, to do that. But I mean, this is just a small movie that used the resources that it had to do what it did. And
Mm-hmm.
this feels like a calling card for a director. Like it feels
Oh,
like
totally.
this is going to be taken somewhere else to make a the $30 million movie next time. Like this is proof of concept that this director is capable. And I kind of like that it feels kind of like bootstrapping the way that the acting was done, and maybe because like I think what's happening is, I have to say it like this. I like to shit on Netflix. It's like the Netflix. So there's a big gap in Netflix stuff. There's like stuff with Idris Elba in it, and then there's everything else. There's like stuff with the big stars in it, and then everything else. There's like that's okay, but it's relaxed. Our like ability to. I'm not so critical on acting. I'll say. But then when I watch something that's like really well acted, that's in their top tier, I'm like, oh, that other stuff is not quite as good as the stuff with like Idris Elba in it. It's like,
Right.
It's so weird that sometimes it makes that true and sometimes it's not. You know,
Yeah. Sometimes you get
sometimes you can
exceptions.
see that like, oh, this is so much production value, it's almost making me think it's good.
Yeah. Yeah.
And then
Yeah. For
other
sure.
times it really is a case where we're talking about a movie like this where you would say, oh, this movie would actually be kind of perfect if it didn't have a couple of these little
Yeah.
understandable flaws. And it's
Yeah.
like, that's not
Yeah.
to ding it for not being perfect. That's more, I think you're taking a very positive approach, which I align with, which is like, to pull this off to the degree that they do, and I think it's a first time director, right? I mean,
It is, yeah.
and it's kind of like I said, an experiment. I'm trying to think of the last horror film that had this kind of outside the norm feeling, and yet reached enough of like a mainstream conversation. And
Yeah.
it's not like this at all, but it's another example of an experiment that's going to work for some people and not for others. And that's Skinamarink. That was the other movie that I thought of that was like, oh, a concept,
Right,
a
right,
movie
right.
that feels like an art film and a concept, and feels like something that you might question. The first question you might ask is this a movie? Does this work as a movie? And I think in both cases, they would work better as like a half-hour thing or something like. This would have been like an amazing episode of an anthology show or something.
Yeah.
Oh yeah.
Yeah.
And
Oh,
because
yeah.
it's got more than enough juice for that. I'm really not saying it feels like it's stretched out that badly, but I do think the sort of familiarity of just this kind of ghost story. I think that it would have been an amazing thing to see in that way. But yeah, I mean, 70 minutes, if there's not much time, it's like once you sink into the atmosphere of this, and you do get hypnotized by that very good boy. Indy is a very good boy, and he's doing good boy things. And this idea of playing on a dog's loyalty to his owner as like the driving force of his narrative is like really poignant and sweet.
Yeah, for sure.
And it allows you to have what could be, you know, tragic turns that you sort of have there's almost like a nobility. We already think this about our pets, that there's a weird nobility to them. We talk about how they're the kings and the queens of our houses and stuff like that. I mean, people go wild for pets. So it's like this idea that a movie's going to kind of play off of the idea that like this guy is not having such a great time and he's very lucky to have this good dog.
Yeah.
Sometimes that
for
is
sure.
your best pal. There should be a saying about how dogs can be like one of the best pals that you have. There should be some kind of like
Yeah, it should
quick
be.
way of saying that. Like these guys are good buddies to have. I don't know. Someone workshop that for me.
Yeah. It should be like a dog's a good son of a bitch or
Yeah,
something
dog.
like
Hey, looking for a good son of a bitch?
that.
Check out a dog.
Check out a
Something
dog,
like that.
damn
There's
it.
got to be a shorter way to say it though.
Yeah.
We're just not good at the brevity thing, Ronald.
Yeah.
It'll come to you.
Yeah,
This,
just like
this,
a good dog.
yeah. It just feels like one of those ones, man. Like I can't like it's not perfect, but because it fills a niche that hasn't really been filled before, we're gonna hear about it for the rest of our lives. You get what I'm saying? Like
Yeah.
it's not that good. It's because what else has done this?
Right. If anybody else does it, they're going to mention this
Yes,
too. You know what I
see?
mean? They're going to say, right. Yeah.
It's like what if I were to write a movie that's about like somebody's eyeball or something like that, and nobody's made something specific about an eyeball that tackles
Except for
this-
Alien Earth.
except for Alien Earth. But you know what I mean? Like it is
Yeah.
it's especially the way that people think about like who did it first and this, somebody's gonna do this again, and somebody's like, you know what? Screw that movie. Go see the better version, the original that came out in 2025. It's called Good Boy. There's only one original that follows the perspective of a dog in a horror film. That's gonna happen. I'm just saying we're witnessing a movie that's in that sort of and I'm not saying because it's the greatest movie. I'm just saying
Yeah.
it really does. This is one of those movies in our lifetime that we're seeing that fills a niche that has never been.
Yeah.
Yeah, this is
like,
what it is.
And it's a hook. I mean, it's definitely something
Yeah.
you can say, oh, from horror film from the point of view of a dog,
Yeah,
like
yeah.
I have a story idea I've been writing for a long time that has like a chapter that's from the point of view of a dog, and it's sort of similar in the sense that I have my dog behaving like a normal dog, but doing something important. And I had questioned like, oh, will people buy this? Will people buy that like a chapter from the point of view of a dog?
Right.
And then I saw that this movie was coming out, and I was like, oh, okay, well, my idea won't seem so fresh anymore. But this movie's proving that yes, people will buy, or at least some people will buy the idea that you can follow a dog, and it's not like a silly thing to do. You know,
Right, right,
like
Yeah.
right.
I think you're kind of getting at that, Ronald. This doesn't feel like a silly version of a horror movie because it's from the point of view of a dog. It
Right.
plays all that stuff super straight, and the fact that you do, and you do worry about the dog, even though I think the director had made a point when the movie came out of telling audiences like that, if you're afraid of watching something bad happen to the dog, that's not
Don't watch it.
that's not the point of this movie, because it's like, he knows a lot of people that would like this movie would not come see a movie if they thought
Yeah.
that something bad was going to happen to the dog. So there is a little bit of an assurance that like the dog is the hero of this, but you watch the movie and you don't know what that means. Like, a lot of times the hero of a horror movie doesn't make it to the end. So you're
Okay.
watching to see how little Indy fares.
Can I ask you a question? That was a part that was kind of confusing, maybe because, again, this may be like the first time director. I just want to ask a question. There were two
Sure.
dogs, right?
You mean the main dog is played by one dog?
Indy, yeah.
Yeah, Indy is one dog.
Okay.
And they shot for 400 days. That's how they got the performance they got. They just shot a lot of
They
stuff
just
the
shot
first
a
time.
lot of stuff. Holy shit.
Are you
That's
talking
crazy.
about, wait, are you talking about, what's it,
The red bandana dog.
the Bandit one? Bandit?
Yes.
Yeah,
Okay.
Bandit.
Okay. Okay.
That's a different dog.
Okay. That's
Yes.
what I thought. I just was, I was like, based on the ending, I was like, oh my God, I hope I'm not seeing what I think I'm seeing.
Oh, I see what
You
you're
know what
saying.
I
No, no,
mean?
no, no, no. It wasn't like that.
Oh my
It wasn't
God.
that twisty. That would
I,
have been
w-
an interesting
I
twist,
would have.
though.
I don't know if I would have been able to handle that. If I'm
No.
being honest with you guys, I don't know. I
Yeah.
would have been like, oh no, I can't.
No, you're right. It has a kind of melancholy, sad ending.
Yeah,
That
yeah,
would have
yeah.
been like a heartbreaking twist.
Yes,
But no, yeah, yeah, yeah. So there's two dog characters.
yes, yes, yes.
Yes.
There's two dark characters. Because there's a point where I was like, oh no, 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 no,
But I love that
no.
there's like a dog mystery. That it's not just a dog
Yes.
encountering a mystery, but like part of the mystery involves a dog. You know what I mean? That was a
Yeah.
cool. That was a cool aspect, and I do think Larry Fessenden, who is a guy who kind of like he's kind of like a patron saint of this kind of movie. For him to pop up as the grandfather was a cool little
That was pretty cool.
casting touch.
Yeah. There was a point where the dog was like figuring stuff out. I swore that dog was about to be like, "Great Scott!" I don't know. It's like very much like a discovery that I don't know if I could would have had myself. Like he's like maneuvering through spaces and looking at things, and yeah, it's shot really well.
Yeah,
Yeah.
and they do. You're right. They do a good job of the dog like looking at stuff and looking back and looking around. And so many times I
Yeah.
was like, man, how many, knowing they shot for 400 days, I'd read that before seeing the movie. So I would watch certain moments and go, oh, I bet this took them like a week to get the dog to like sit and stare at something and then react to the right thing or whatever. But like, it was, I think the director and the cinematographer and, or his co-writer, the wife worked on it, right? The guy's
She's a
wife
producer.
produced it. Anyway, there was some point where it was just the like two or three people living in the house where they were shooting it with the dog.
Oh, wow.
So they just spent a lot of time, getting it set up the way they wanted. And it does help that the setting of the house is like, oh, here's a big old house, but there's like work lights up in it because it's being worked on and stuff. And I'm sure that helps with your shots if you want to have cool lighting in your shots. If you can
Yeah.
have like, oh, they've just got work lights set up in this house, or the kind of ambiance of the house kind of lent itself to the ambiance of the movie. So I've thought about that. Like if you lived in a really cool house, wouldn't the temptation be just to figure out what movie you could shoot in that house, and that
Yeah.
way you have access to it forever.
Cool. Well, say good boy. Good boy.
Good boy.
Yeah. I
He's a
think we
good
enjoyed
boy.
it.
He's a good boy.
Who's a good movie?
Yeah, say good boy is. So I'm next, and I'm gonna pick a movie that I literally have started to watch almost 2 or 3 times, and I just like get distracted. Not that I've even started it. It's like there, ready to watch, and I just didn't yet. This is like a action comedy. I've been picking a few of these recently,
Yeah.
and I've heard a lot of people say good things about it, maybe surprising things about it, and maybe directions that the movie goes. But it's called Code 3.
Hmm.
Has any of you heard of it?
I mean, I've
Mm.
exactly heard of it.
Okay. Um, this is an action comedy
Oh,
starring
I've seen this poster.
Rainn
Yeah.
Wilson, Lil Rel Howery, Rob Riggle, Amy
Okay.
Carrero, Nicole Brown,
Okay.
a couple other people I saw in the trailer. The dude from Cobra Kai. How do you pronounce his name? Uh,
Is this
Zolo?
Zolo?
Marduena, I think is his name.
That sounds like a winner.
Yeah, he was Blue Beetle, that guy.
Yes, Blue
But
Beetle.
yeah, I don't know. Just a lot of people just saying that this movie is like way better than they thought it was going to be.
Okay.
It's funny, but it's also kind of sad, dramatic at times. Like a really interesting job at balancing a couple different tones. It's logline is follows a paramedic that is so burnt out by the job that he's forcing himself to resign. However, he first must embark on one last 24-hour shift to train his replacement. But this is available on I know it's Amazon Prime, like you can rent it. I think it's like $4 or $5. Or this probably on all the other platforms as well. I keep seeing it there. But yeah, this is called Code 3. It's available for digital rental on the VOD platforms. And yeah, we'll talk about it next episode.
Cool. Cool.
Yeah, just the description makes me think of Bringing Out the Dead meets After
Yeah.
Hours or something like that, where it's just a
Yeah.
nonstop, you know, one scene after another.
So we'll see.
Yeah,
Um,
we shall literally see.
what's next? Let's talk a little Welcome to Derry, right?
Yeah.
Welcome to Derry,
Yeah.
season 1.
You bet your ass.
That's the scariest show if you're lactose intolerant.
Yes, it is.
So if we can talk about the first two, right? By the time this comes out, it'll be two
Yes.
episodes, right?
We
Okay.
can. We can.
Yes,
We
this
can.
episode comes out when the next episode drops because they're doing an early drop.
Yeah, they're
Really
dropping
cool.
episode 2 on Halloween, so we should be in the clear.
We should be heroes.
That
Also,
too.
we
So
could
John,
be
you teased it
heroes.
a little bit last week that you had watched the first episode.
Yeah.
I'd seen some of it, but not enough to have an opinion. And yeah, that's changed in
Boy,
the
things have changed.
in the last few days.
Well, I thought it was interesting once it came out and people were talking about it that people basically, a lot of people said what I said, which is, oh, you think what, if hang around to the end of the first episode to see what
Right.
this show was really maybe doing. And the
Yeah.
other thing I think is just the question of, is this going to feel like pretty much just like the movies?
Yeah.
And it does
Yeah.
feel relatively like the movies. But yeah, I mean, I think it's interesting just to see the people are reacting to the just how much the show really goes for it with the surprises and there's a lot of CGI. That's a complaint I've seen people have that I do think, and there's not just the CGI, but there's like an overall CGI kind of look. It's like a little bit everything. I think Andy Muschietti's movies maybe have this element of just like everything feels a little polished with airbrushing and some kind of digital effects and stuff. But
He
I feel
loves
like
babies. That's what I thought about.
well, I think it's just interesting that it gives this show a slightly, and at times, a kind of golden hour, kind of like almost like a nostalgic look. But the
Yeah.
show is not a nostalgic feeling show at all. So I wonder how much that's a deliberate thing that he does of like making this look a little bit fairy tale-ish, and then that way when you turn up the creepiness, it really contrasts with the sort of golden age looking stuff. But yeah, you guys
Mhm.
have finally seen it, and Ronald, you've now seen any of it. Like, I know you had questions about whether this would be up your alley after being kind of disappointed in the second It movie. How do you feel like this? Did this redeem anything for you, or did this entertain you more?
I want to say one thing, and I'll leave it there. part of this feels like Stranger Things to me, and I can't figure out. Maybe
You
it's
mean the
like
kids on bikes and stuff?
the kids on bikes, the army
Wrong era,
thing.
but yeah.
The kids on bikes, the army thing, the big conspiracy, trying to find something in another place,
Sure.
the military digging
Yeah.
around. It's like all that stuff. But
Sure.
it feels like, in a very specific way, this feels like this may have been an idea that existed way before this.
Oh, I was going to say it's funny because Stranger Things feels like Stephen King. You know what I mean?
Yeah,
Like, so
yeah,
this
yeah,
is kind of
That's
like
that's the
this
key.
is,
yeah,
but
yeah.
it does work against it
It
sometimes,
does.
right?
It's
Like where, like it's like the fact that Marvel brought Thanos to movies first, and then DC was trying to do Darkseid. But Darkseid was first in the comics, and Thanos
it's
was
like
kind of a reaction to that. So I think that there is a kind of funny thing about if you get there first pop
the
culturally.
dog POV thing, man.
Yeah.
It's whoever gets there first.
Yeah.
It's all that matters.
Right.
And I think that that's going to really mess with people, maybe, as particularly if they're not like Stephen King people. Like if you haven't seen it, or you know about the lore and all that stuff, or haven't seen any other or haven't read the book. You know what I mean? Like it's like
Yeah.
if you haven't taken any of that stuff in, it's easy for you to be like, this is like Stranger Things.
Yeah.
Like holy. Like, but my thought was, it kind of feels like this is the source. Like as I'm watching it, this feels like the source of something that Stranger. It feels like the kid of Stranger Thing. No. Stranger Things feels like the kid of this. You
Sure.
know what I mean? Like even
Yeah.
though it came out, because it's based on something bigger.
Yeah.
But overall, man, this thing is scary.
Yeah.
This thing is scary to me.
It's
Like
got some real scares in it.
yes, especially if you're like, I really try to. One of the things that I think that makes home viewing not scary for people is that they typically have too many elements going on. Like TV's going, I'm watching,
Sure.
texting and stuff like that. I turned everything off.
Yeah.
I turn the sound up and I let it just mess with my mind. And the way that this show and the movies and the previous TV show slash movies has really made children not safe in this world
Yeah.
is the scariest thing in the world. Like it really, every movie, we pray for everything to be balanced in a movie. You're like, man, I don't want to see kids get hurt in this thing, but why they always skip over the kids in this?
Yeah.
This show says we don't care about these kids. Fuck these kids.
Yeah.
And
Well,
it,
at least for one episode they
yeah,
did.
for at least for one episode.
My question is, once we get to the second episode, are we being introduced to kids that we're meant to be more emotionally invested in? Because in
Right.
the first episode, it's almost like a satire of the sort of kids that you would follow
Yes.
in this kind of thing.
Yes.
But it's not quite. So I wonder if we're going to continue to see turnover in the characters. I kind
Yeah,
of hope
it's-
we do, even though I don't wish anything bad on any of the kids.
For sure.
But I feel like I don't want them to be like, oh, for one episode, we really were nasty, and then we
Yeah.
settled into a more familiar kind of Spielberg-y thing.
Yeah.
I hope that they keep that idea going of kind of what you said, Ronald. Like, this is a slasher franchise in a way. I mean, it's not a slasher franchise, but it's a picking people off franchise.
Yeah, yeah.
And the main characters are kids, so the
Yeah.
kids should be as capable of being picked off as anybody else.
100%. And I think that that's just something that I swear I'm not used to, man. Like it's like I've seen a couple of things where that's happened, but the world building, the way that this stuff's coming across, the way that Derry is starting to feel in the second episode, and for some of the complaints that people were saying about the visual effects, I would submit that two of the scenes in the second episode are some of the best special effects I think I've ever seen in something horror related. The supermarket scene and then the mom scene. I
Yeah.
thought those were incredible looking. Like,
Are you talking about the scene with the weird birth kind of
Yeah,
scene in
yeah,
the bed
yeah.
and everything? Yeah.
And then the supermarket scene, the lighting on it was so good. Like that's
That guy who kept popping up in the background and kind of leaning in a
Like
little drunk.
yeah.
like he
Oh,
looked like he was like on a spring.
yeah,
That
and
Yes.
stuff was
he kind of
crazy.
came out kind of no, that was
Yeah.
incredibly well
Oh
It
choreographed.
man.
was so well filmed, and it kept escalating. It kept getting crazy because, like, you think,
And
you
then
know,
where it goes is fucking insane with the
yeah,
pickle jars. Oh,
you think it's just gonna be one thing. You're like, okay, so the pickle jars are what. Then it starts getting crazier and crazier and crazier. Then you think that's it, and then it gets crazier.
yeah.
It's like it really does a cool job of doing that for everybody. And this feels like, honestly, like nightmare. Like this feels like Freddy Krueger stuff. Like if there
No,
were
it
to be a
is.
Freddy Krueger, new Freddy Krueger, this feels like the type of nightmares that would be in there. It's so well done, and you know the familiarity that we have with the character, and it feels like it's filling in these blanks for like parts of it that we just didn't know, or like that Derry's a little bigger than I thought it was. Like it's, I don't know, man. Like this is, I think I'm on a path to liking this show a lot more. I think you're right. I think I just like it more than the second one. And this kind of is kicking the ass of the first one almost. Like if this continues at this pace and the level of wonderment that
Hmm.
kind of comes, I even like the cliche stuff. Like let's do some research at the library. Like I loved, for some reason that felt good to me. Like it
Yeah.
felt like it's hitting me on all cylinders. Like I think I'm in for it. Yeah, I like it.
Yeah.
Yeah.
You know what character I'm worried about is that little social climbing girl
Oh
who
yeah, dude.
like she's
Oh,
playing she I just feel like she's gonna be ripe for this the way this being like picks victims. It seems to
yeah,
pick people
yeah.
that are kind of desperate or that are kind of isolated, and I could see that girl being like again in a regular show you'd meet that girl and be like, oh, she's the plucky lovable kind of
Yeah.
nerdy girl, but in this she's like a got a mean side to her, and she stabs people in the back and she'll do anything to be accepted, and you're like,
Oh,
oh, you're not going to do well in this world.
right.
Yeah.
But maybe she'll redeem herself, but I feel like I feel like but and we haven't seen really Pennywise yet. We've seen manifestations, but we haven't
Yeah.
really seen him. But we've seen a couple of moments that are definitely him, right? Like with the eyes that
Yeah.
were in the like there's a moment where we see
Yeah.
like a face, I
The
think
pair of eyes.
Yeah.
inside the maw of the
Yeah.
that very disturbing.
That kid's smile had the like it
Yeah.
like did the like kind of sharp smile
Yeah.
that was wild. That's a
We've had
wild.
two very harrowing kind of birth
Just everything that we're
scenes.
talking about makes me so excited that this exists. Like
Yeah.
Yeah. It
honestly, like you even bringing up Stranger Things and that's coming out, but like just thinking about like how much I know I personally love it, the
yeah.
book. I love the miniseries. I love chapter one for sure. And I
Yeah.
still really like chapter two more
Yeah, I
than
enjoyed a
most.
lot of it too. Yeah.
Just because of really what it is and just so much that worked for it on me. Um, but yeah, this existing is just I think amazing. The
Yeah.
fact that they went for this and that there is stuff there in the source in the book in the source material that alludes to this part of the story. It just never kind of fleshes it out.
All right.
So like the fact that they have the ability to you know uh just like connect some dots, but also like color it in their own way,
Yeah.
Hmm.
and that Andy Machete and Barbara, his sister producing partner, that that they're so heavily involved with it still, like to kind of keep it consistent with the It films,
Hmm.
and obviously Bill Skarsgård. But I mean, I just think that all is so exciting, and being able to build out the world of Derry more and these characters that we're seeing characters in this show, some that we saw briefly that connect to other Stephen King stuff, that connect to the story that most people know of it, like the characters like Stan in
Hmm.
it chapter 1, that character of Stan, like unless I'm misreading something, like we're meeting like his
It,
uncle,
well, right. Well,
like
his dad, I think, was the
is the older
brother.
brother.
Yeah, the guy who says,
Yeah,
"I
like
can't believe we're
the younger
related."
boy that we meet that we think is our main character, like that would be Stan's uncle.
Yeah.
And like that kind of connective tissue and like the Jewish family and their place in this town and all that stuff I just think is so
It just occurred to me that the
So
comic
good.
book that the dad gets mad about is a Flash comic.
It's a DC
Yeah,
comic.
But it's not just that; it's a Flash comic, and Andy
yeah,
Muschietti directed the Flash. That's just an
yeah.
interesting
Oh, I
thing.
thought it was a Batman comic. I thought they
It,
said it was a. I thought they said it was a Batman comic.
Pretty sure it was a
it
Flash
said
comic.
Flash on the front, and he threw it at him. It may have been like a one a
Oh,
crossover,
okay.
Yeah,
but yeah,
but it
he
Or
just
maybe,
occurred to
yeah, I
me that
know that
that's
there
like
were
a
like an
Flash
Easter egg thing
self-reference.
I was
yeah,
listening to that was talking about that there was a Brave and the Bold reference in the episode, which Andy is supposed to be directing. So,
Yeah, still
yeah.
supposedly.
um,
Um, but it's making me think of another DC related thing, which is Penguin. That show feeling like such an on brand extension of
yeah,
the Robert Pattinson Batman film, or more
right.
accurately, the Matt Reeves Batman film. This feels like it's got that same thing of just like this is Warner Brothers and HBO Max realizing we can generate a prestige show. I mean, Peacemaker
Yep.
is this too,
Yep.
but like less so in the sense of what I'm referring to, which is like just this extension of the thing that worked, and it doesn't feel like it doesn't feel like it doesn't connect. I guess this is true of Peacemaker too, but I feel like Peacemaker being so kind of fun and comic booky, it does kind of have its own style. Whereas
Yeah.
part of the fun of the Penguin and of this show is that if you
Yeah.
do like the style of the Robert Pattinson Batman, the Penguin show just is just like it's totally in the pocket of that universe and very similar
Yeah.
to if you like the It films. This feels of a piece with them. And yeah, I love Dick Halloran. I love the way the army is using him, and that his shine
Yep.
is like a plot point. I just think that's really.
So good.
And I got to say, I'm a sucker for any time someone has a power or a gift that gets them used, and then they milk it a little, and then they realize, oh, I've got to do something. I've got to put up or shut up because they're not going to let me milk my whatever gets you your sweet ride. It's like Tim Robbins' character
Right.
in Shawshank Redemption too, where he's kind of like the darling of the warden as long as he's doing things at the pace and the way the warden wants it to. It's like I'm a sucker for that idea of like it's a little bit of a con man spirit that's like tied in with that character of like, oh, while I've got this access, I'll tell the guy at the front gate, to go fuck himself. I'm Dick Halloran. Like I love that element, but this to see that it's a tenuous situation makes him, I don't know, a really interesting character because you realize, oh wait, he's still a
Totally.
black man in 1962, and
Yeah.
they're still like all too happy to yank away any privilege or status that he might have. So
Oh
it's just, I
yeah.
don't know, it's very interesting. And I was wondering, how did you guys feel the movie? I mean, they definitely feel like in the movie there's a touch of it, but this show is really diving into those kind of racial politics. Some of it worked out exactly the way I expected, but some of it a little bit less so. Like I'm still not quite sure that the general, whatever James Remar's character, I'm still not quite sure if we're supposed to trust him or not. But how do you feel about how they're handling that stuff, Ronald? Because that's the kind of thing that you and I've talked about before. This show could be a little too drenched in like misery porn to
Yeah,
be enjoyable, but I feel like they've avoided it thus far.
I gotta be honest, man. Like, I don't like things that remind me of racism, like plot me into it. But I mean, I felt it. I kind of went up. It's funny. I was like walking around, and I'm like halfway through episode 2, and I'm like, I hate that they remind me that it was racist.
Mm-hmm.
And then she's like, would you have liked if they would have ignored it? And I was like,
Mm-hmm.
you know what? You got a point.
Right.
You got a point.
Well, because I think
it,
you've been mad about that. I mean, it's
yeah,
like we have commented on that
yeah,
before too. When a movie when they just pretend there was no ugliness during
yeah,
a certain era. So it is a weird thing though of like, are we doing that misery porn thing again?
yeah.
But
And there's an exception that we need to talk about sometimes. Racism is prevalent, but sometimes beauty will get you right past some of that. And Taylor Page is gorgeous in this show.
Yeah.
And I think that there's like you know, you see somebody gorgeous, there's racism, but they're gonna give you little some passes here and there. Um, but yeah, I that scene when she breaks up the fight felt like I was like, is this racism or this is just Derry? This is felt like Derry plus racism. You know, I was like, oh, this
Yeah.
feels crazy.
I
Um,
agree with you. It's like there's something going on in Derry that is actually maybe not worse than racism, but there's something that runs deeper and darker,
yeah,
maybe
yeah.
even than that in this story. And so it is interesting that like people are reacting to her not just because she's a black woman, but
Yeah.
because she's daring to like upset the status quo of what's
Right, right,
happening at
right.
all. She's inserting herself into this situation. Yeah, you're right.
And her
It's kind of
husband kind of
interesting.
said that she's like known to be
Yeah.
kind of a rebel. And
Hmm.
this is gonna get worse for her in this town at least. It's like it feels pretty bad. And he seems he's the opposite. He's like play it cool, don't shake too much up. It's gonna be interesting to see how this clashes. Man, I gotta say this, man. All the kid actors in this show are unreal.
Yes, they are. Especially the little girl who had the birth scene in the bed that we were talking about. What's
Yes.
that actress's name? She's just got like something about even just the sound of her voice. She's got this like musical tone. She's so like expressive. But I like the little boy who's playing the kind of science nerd too. I thought he was really like he had some lines to deliver that could have been kind of dorky in a way that wouldn't quite be believable, but he says them with a little twinkle, which again, you don't often see younger actors that are able to modulate. Like he's being cute, but we're seeing it as like a kid being cute, not a
Yeah.
movie that's acting like we all think this kid is cute. Do you know what I mean? It's
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, for
Yeah.
he's
sure.
legitimately like an appealing, winsome kind of kid, an
Yeah.
innocent kind of kid.
Poor Lily, man. Poor Lily. I'm going through this like crazy worry for all these characters. It's like it's about to get hectic in this town, and you know they talk about beacons and all this stuff. I'm like, okay, I don't know. I don't know. I don't know. I don't know. I'm
Yeah,
very
you're right. Where we are left with her at the end of episode 2 is like I wouldn't have expected the story to move that fast in that direction. But it's
yeah.
like, man, I'm knowing how miserable this show can make you feel for the characters and like the nightmare imagery where she's going and where that's headed. That's yeah. I'm worried about her too.
Yeah, yeah. Episode one, we didn't see the intro, right? Because I feel like when I watched it the first time, I don't know if I saw the intro. Episode two, I'm seeing the
I feel like you might be right that the second episode has the intro
The
sequence.
yeah, the opening
And the,
credits,
the
like
yeah,
first
the
one
opening
has
credits.
like the title comes up over the pacifier
Right, right.
drifting into the sewer,
Yeah,
and the
and then
second one has
we
the
get the
little
first look
creepy
at the
song.
the creepy song, and the full intro is on episode two. I like that, man.
Hmm.
I'm really enjoying this. HBO doesn't miss for intros anyway, but this one feels especially strange. It's just the perspective is this happiness going into this darkness that gets weirder and weirder as the imagery gets deeper into the intro, and the music is just perfect for it. But
Even that scene of Taylor Page, what's her character's name? Charlotte, where she's walking down the street and they play that like music that is like I can't pull the name of it, but it's like a piece that is like has been used for 60 years
yeah,
to mean like oh what a beautiful day, and it's usually used ironically, like
yeah,
usually you hear that music and then somebody gets shot or run over or
right,
something
right, right.
after you've heard it, so it's almost satirical. And then I thought like has that piece of music has it turned over into new, like I don't know how old Andy Machete is, but
Mm,
it's like have we gotten to the point where now it's a oh post ironic usage of this music because of what it makes you think of,
right.
whereas for most of my
right.
life it was already ironic, it was already a very sarcastic music cue to put in, and I
Yeah.
sometimes I wonder about that. Do you ever think about that? You've aged into seeing like oh if I was a 20-year-old person watching this now, this doesn't have the association that it has for me of being like, oh, a thing that's been used a million times. Like whenever somebody uses like a classic rock song that sounds really cool, and you go, oh yeah, that's been in 20 movies. But then you go, oh, if I was a new viewer, I wouldn't know that. Does this director even know? Does this producer even know that they're using something that's been used a million times?
They did. They used something that so they used Frankie Lyman. Why do fools fall in love? Do
Hmm.
you know the history of that weird? So Frankie Lyman, black artist, had a band for a long time. People didn't know Frankie Lyman was black. So Frankie Lyman performed live for the first time on TV, and there's a video that you can watch of people reacting to realizing that Frankie Lyman A is that person, and B, that he's black, and it's all these little white girls in the crowd that are like, it's like disgust and oh, he's black. It's crazy,
That's
and I know
wild.
that they played it for that reason when that girl came into the school. It's like it's. I wouldn't have known this unless somebody showed me that video a couple years ago. But yeah, Frankie Lyman singing. But yeah, he's it's like a video of him. The first time that people see him perform live on TV. It's a strange, but they use Why Do Fools Fall in Love, and it made me think of Frankie Lyman and that scene and all that stuff. And when the girl
Yeah.
comes in after the events of what happened in the movie theater, when she's blamed for something that she clearly didn't do. Um, but yeah, I don't know. I don't know especially the CGI of it. I know that people feel a little weird about it, but I don't know how you can visualize some of this stuff.
You
I don't know
know,
how you can visualize.
the thing is that I think you are either in or out on the way that Andy Muschietti,
Yeah,
how he does CGI.
Pischetti.
Muschietti, like it's across all his movies.
No,
I
I said
mean,
it
Pischetti. I
is.
think it's
it's
Machete.
it's consistent.
Yeah,
You know, whether it was what was it called? Was it Mama?
Yeah.
Yeah,
Was it?
Mama with that he made, or the It films, Flash, like this series, like
the baby in the Flash movie and the baby in this, man. It's like,
there's yeah. I mean the CG is just kind of like it's not it's not great. I mean like I don't love it either, but I mean like it doesn't distract me enough from the other stuff that I love, and I think that again, all the things we've hit on so far over the course of just two episodes, um, I feel like the rest like completely overshadow any issue that I have with like yeah the CGI could have been
100%.
better or look just different.
Hmm.
It doesn't mean that it needs to do that. It's just would it's a bit distracting, but there's just really great performances. There's some fun, there's some very like fun, I would say is the right word, like writing in
Mm.
the script and in some of the dialogue that some of these characters are doing, especially in the first episode with these characters, these kids that we think are that are the group that we're
Yeah,
following.
yeah,
And and not to give away everything, but like yeah, the last 10 minutes of the first episode is just like that's how you hook. I think that's how you hook somebody.
Hmm.
yeah,
Especially like Ronald said, like at the top of this discussion, it's like, in the It films, yeah, kids die in that those films, but and even in the book, but the setup in a episode of a series to make a decision like they do in this first episode, I think is just complete, just bold and ballsy, and I mean just like they're going for that. Okay, well, now I have to watch the next one because what the hell just happened?
yeah,
Right.
And you're gonna look for that spike in the episode that comes out today when this episode comes out. That they're releasing early for Halloween. It's just really smart, honestly, man. Like it's so intelligent to do something like that, and yeah, because from there you're kind of thrown off your balance a little bit, and you're
yeah,
also then introduced in the second episode to more stuff with Dick and like that whole soldier military stuff.
yeah.
And you get a little bit more with like the families and you know, um, the kids that are still in the second episode.
Even the structure of the power structure of the town, the way like the
Yeah,
sheriff or the
Yeah.
chief of police is being pressured by like the councilman and the
yeah,
other guy. That's like that there's like a conspiracy in town on top of everything else. You
Yeah.
know,
yeah,
like people suck in Derry.
Yeah.
pretty much.
People
Seems to be
really
a
do
theme.
suck. I did like that the second episode started with another angle from what we saw at the last
Yeah,
10
that was
minutes.
awesome.
It's
Yeah.
like, oh my God, like what a smart thing to do. Especially if you kind of like what I don't remember exactly how that last episode ended.
Or if you're like, oh, surely they're not gonna do. Surely that's not what it's looked like. You know,
Right,
and then
right,
you see
right,
a
right,
much
right.
more descriptive version of what
Yeah,
happened.
yeah, yeah. Oh man. I'm hooked. I'm hooked. I'm
Yeah,
glad
I'm
that
I'm,
I'm
I'm
glad that
definitely hooked for now too.
yeah.
Yeah, I
Barring,
mean, and they have a plan, just
Right. We always like
for
that.
we
to
love a plan.
say if this works, which I'm there's no question it's going to work.
Yeah.
Um, to have 3 seasons of this show and to be able to go
Wow.
back, the years further back in those increments. What is it? Is it
27.
27
27
years? Yeah,
years.
27 years.
Yeah.
Um, yeah, man, that's just I'm so excited that there's so much more and like everything we've talked about just now that has worked so well, so scary,
Mm.
different manifestations of it, in these first 2 episodes. We haven't even gotten to Pennywise.
Right.
Maybe a slight tease, like John said, with eyes and things like that. But like the thing you're familiar with, both in structure and in character and villain, it's like there's other scary shit that's happening already in first 2 episodes. And Ronald, you're right. Those 2 scenes, and I would even put honestly, like I don't really think any of them have missed. I think the opening
Yeah.
scene with the kid leaving the theater in the car
Oh
Yeah.
my
is super
God.
creepy and uncomfortable and
Yeah.
weird.
Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah.
And I think the movie theater sequence is
Mm-hmm.
fucking scary.
Yeah,
Yeah.
it's
Like
really
it is
scary.
creepy.
Yeah.
Like we had that scene a little bit, like when the kids are watching, the video,
Yeah.
Oh yeah, yeah,
but
yeah.
In the
or when they're
first one.
watching the thing, I think was it in part two.
Yeah. I think
Um,
is it the first one or the second
I
one?
can't
But either
remember
way, where it
actually.
comes out of the screen after
Yeah,
that.
Yeah.
whatever. Yeah, like that. Um, it kind of calls that back. It reminds you of that,
Yeah.
but then it just like goes way further. Like it's like it didn't just stop in terms of scaring the shit out of them.
Yeah.
Like there
Right.
are, shit happens, and it's like, and that's that off balance thing that I think it just works so well. Yeah, I loved it. I like immediately was texting a couple friends that like are big horror people, and like, have you watched it yet? Because I actually watched it Sunday. I was late to it, but like I was like, you need to watch it because like it's something's gonna get ruined for you,
Mm-hmm.
and you need to watch it so that you can kind of feel it the way I just felt it because it felt awesome to watch that first episode.
Yeah. Well, so having watched the first one weeks ago and then knowing we were doing this and now that we're kind of catching up, I watched the first one and then watched the second one.
Yeah.
So watching it a second time, all the stuff that we're saying we liked, it's really fun watching it knowing that's what they're doing because then you can really stop and see all the fake shit they're setting up for lack of a better way of putting it.
Yeah.
Like all the character stuff that seems like stuff you'll be dealing with for episodes on episodes, and they hint
Yeah.
at things, and it's like it's really well done that like they did a great job of creating a credible. So often when people do that, you look back and you go, oh, it was always kind of played like a joke. But that first episode, none of the characters are really played like jokes, and therefore
Yes.
it is bold that they do what they did. And I just hope they remember that boldness on some level throughout. And I feel like the second episode has traces of it, but I think that it's smart to say after the boldness of a first episode like that, you can't do that trick again. You can't just keep doing that same trick.
Right.
But I do think they have me a little bit off balance from what I expect and from who might survive or who might be a main character. And I kind of want to keep it that way. I don't want to dig into the lore and find out, oh yeah, one of these characters is a reference to somebody that we know survives or whatever. I mean, there's certain characters that I know must survive, but other than that, most of the main characters are not people that I can say that about. I have no association with them. Even Stanley's uncle, who we meet,
Right.
is not like a character who we can say, oh, that's a connection that means he's going to be around for a long time. So I think that's a cool thing. And I just want to add this too. We did talk about the CGI, sort of the over CGIification maybe of Andy Muschietti style. I still think some of the stuff works like really well, and I think particularly like the
100%.
creatures look
Yeah.
great. Like
Yeah.
the weird baby thing at the beginning, the baby monster in the theater, those look great. The
Oh, yeah.
reassembled pickle man.
I've
is,
never
like,
seen anything
so-
like that.
So creepy well, because at first he's almost like a Cthulhu creature who's
Yeah.
like tentacles and stuff, but it's like his innards and his body's coming together.
Yeah.
Like that stuff looked unreal in a way, but unreal in a way that felt like hyper real. Like
Yeah. Yeah.
this is the sort of stuff you would dream about, and it had
Yeah.
so much. Like in that case, it's kind of part and parcel of what you're saying, Ronald, about how well designed that supermarket sequence was.
Yeah.
This is all happening under like bright, garish fluorescent
Yeah.
light. Nothing is hidden, and the sliminess, you could almost smell the stench of that thing just
Yeah.
looking at it. And I think that like that was a really creepy monster.
Yeah.
The return of her dad in that
That's some
moment.
movie magic.
Yeah,
And the hand holding it all up
yeah,
in the back, that looked even crazier.
yeah,
The design of all that was just so cool. And the sliminess you could hear
yeah.
as it was like assembling. It was like a
Yeah.
oh
And then when
God.
it moves towards her, and it's kind of
Yeah.
like Pennywise constantly has this kind of weird like shimmying movement or like
Yeah.
awkward movement, and it's like it just makes stuff so much scarier when it doesn't seem like it's too smooth. It doesn't seem like it's too predictable.
Yeah.
Wow.
Yeah, that scene's amazing. Yeah.
It
Honestly,
is.
like the one in the bedroom with the mother,
That was scary as
Oh my
hell, man.
God.
that was very scary. Like
Yeah.
I was like uncomfortable watching it
Well,
for
when
many
she's just in the
reasons.
bed, like trying to, and she's
Yeah.
suddenly is like in a
But then it
heart.
just escalates. Like
Yeah.
Yeah.
when it gets off the bed and like
Yeah.
fucking starts walking towards her,
Yeah.
like that, I was like, oh damn, like this is like and that's that's like the gem of those kinds of things. It's like it just keeps escalating, and the
Right.
kid, that performance in that scene is incredible
Yeah.
because the how scared that kid is escalates exponentially. Like you
Yeah.
can tell, like you
Yeah.
would be
Yeah.
more and more and more scared as that kept going on than
Yeah.
you were when it started, and you were just like a little scared, like what's happening?
You know what it is, Steve? It's one of the best moments in movies, period. It's you know, in The Thing when the
Yeah.
guy's head pops off and
Yep.
hits the ground and he sprouts legs and he
Yep.
starts moving around and Kurt Russell says, "What the fuck?"
Yeah.
I was just thinking about this the other day that one of my favorite things for a horror movie director to do is like, okay, this character's going to have a horrible death, but it always gives the character a certain amount of dignity if before they die, they get at least one moment of like, what the fuck? Like,
Yeah.
of just like, what is happening? But you're right, Steve. The escalation in those scenes, it totally turns those kids and like it's like you're tired from screaming and you think
Yeah.
maybe you're gonna get a breath, but like
Yeah.
no, not only is it not over, now it's like
It's
coming
worse.
towards you. You know,
It's worse.
yeah,
Yeah, like yeah, when she like scoots away and you're like, okay, she got it.
Yeah.
She broke
Yeah.
off of it. Like it's got her hooked to it. Like with the umbilical cord, and
Yeah.
that breaks, and she gets even further away, and
Yeah.
like, oh, it can get up,
Yeah.
and it's fucking got a mouth that's opening out, you know?
Yeah.
Oh my god, dude,
Yeah,
that
because
was
she's
just,
like still for a second, and she's like, "You've made a mess," and
Yeah.
then
Oh my God, dude.
God. And the fact that who that person is for her, it's just like a
Yeah.
crazy.
yeah, dude,
This thing really plays off of everyone's fears in a way that just I don't know. I don't feel very scared when I see a lot of stuff. For some reason, this is like
Mm,
poking at something that
mm.
it's like kid fears that I have. Like this, like
Yeah,
the realization of all these like arbitrary things. You like this that'll never happen, but I'm scared of this thing.
well, you feel unsafe. Yeah,
Yeah. Exactly what it is.
was like, you guys can maybe remind me because I was questioning this a little bit. Like John, you mentioned it a little bit earlier, but like the way it feels like some of these things are like nightmares or dreams
Yeah.
hmm
or like outside of
Visions.
like it's not really happening in real life.
Yeah.
yeah.
Was that as apparent in like it chapter 1, 2, the book? Like did that feel that way?
That's a good question. Because I
I
don't
think that it was in some senses because I think the way that manifested was more the sense that it would be that kind of Freddy Krueger-y type thing of you would know this character was afraid of something or you would know something was what they were already thinking about, and
Right.
that would be the monster that would chase them. And they did that in the movies already of like, you know, Pennywise is like taking the shape of something that freaks you out or whatever.
Right.
So I think that in and of itself kind of gives it that sort of like hallucination feel of like this is something that couldn't possibly happen
That's it.
in the
Okay.
natural world. And then there's that
the-
indication that other people aren't seeing what the character's seeing. I think that's been there.
The hallucination part is like the key, I think, to what you
Yeah.
just like what you just said. Because like I'm trying to like kind of parse that. Because like when she kind of comes to and dad opens the door and she's just there against the door.
yeah.
Yeah.
It's like all that happened like in her head. but
Yeah.
like could have killed her.
Yes.
Right. Yeah.
Which is very Freddy Krueger. You know, like
Yeah.
the
Yeah.
rules blur a little bit,
Yeah.
but it does seem like would she seem like she had died of fright, or would she seem like she had been chomped by something, you know?
Right.
Right.
And they do want us to believe those, you know, well, there's other characters that have already perished that it seems to have been just as messy in real life as the hallucination would indicate.
Yeah.
So like there's no reason to I think the rules are fuzzy. I would say, Steve, the question you're kind of poking at is something they haven't really defined, which is like how much is it something that's really happened? Is it just that if you don't die,
Yeah.
then it's not? It's like it didn't happen, or is
Yeah.
it like could that have messed up the room she was in and left a mess? And yet,
Right.
you know what I mean? Like how much of that could have been happening if they were to bend the rules of their own, like
Yeah.
the way they handled these sequences. But thus far, it seems like a good example is Lily in the grocery store. At
Yeah.
the end of that scene, she's smashed like maybe a couple jars of pickles.
Right.
So
Well,
she was doing what she seemed to be doing, but she didn't like it wasn't the destruction that it seemed to be, you know.
yeah.
I was thinking about what the sergeant was saying to him about defining what was happening in the town. Like it was like a fear thing that
Mm-hmm.
he was defining it almost the way that you were defining it.
Yeah.
And then he was kind of like, I don't know all the rules, but which is kind of how we feel about it right now because we don't know all the rules.
Right.
It's cool what they did. Like I feel like there's some world building in a cool way. But I'm curious to know what they know so far
Right.
because
Well,
they may
also
know a
the
little
fact
more
that
than
his whatever injury that's made him not feel fear, that's a cool
yes,
development to say that's why they want him is
yeah.
because
What a crazy.
Mm.
I'm so pissed I didn't watch those 5 episodes.
I know.
We had them.
I could not believe that when you said that because
Yeah.
I didn't see that.
I'm
And when
so
you said that, I was like, "You've got to be kidding me!" Because I had just yeah,
I
I
remember
had
when it
just
said
watched them.
that.
What?
I remember when it said that, thinking, "Oh, I better watch all these before
I
I
did
Right,
do
not.
it," and
I
then I
did
completely
not
flaked on the date.
even catch on to that. I did not even see that, realize that, nothing. Because I had just plowed through those two like really late Sunday. Like I'm talking early AM. And I was like, oh my God, I can't wait to watch more of these tomorrow night. And then you guys said that, and I was like, no,
Well, I noticed. Well, yeah. If anyone's listening
no.
and wondering what the hell we're talking about, we were once given the first 5 episodes to watch, and we didn't. I watched the first one, and then I was waiting for more people to watch it so I could talk to them about it.
Okay,
But
yeah.
now we're one episode ahead. It seems when they send us one. So at
Right,
least maybe every week we can now come in and let folks know, like, oh, it's going to be good this week or whatever. But this is the only week where the episode's actually coming out the day that our show comes out, because normally it would be a Sunday show, I think, which means
Yeah,
we'd be
yeah.
off by a little bit. So, but yeah, I wish I'd watched all 5 of them now too, just because now I'm well. I was hooked after one, and I
Yeah.
thought I would get back to it, but like I couldn't. You know, there were just how you think you're going to binge a show and you just never get around to it. That
Right.
happens to me a little too often these days.
Yeah. Never again. I'm telling you, when we get these things, I'm watching the shit out of it.
Yeah, I
Like,
mean, I just
You
I
hear that,
gotta.
HBO Max? We're sorry. We won't do it again.
do you hear me? I'm not afraid anymore.
I do see the calculated risk of them doing that, though. Of them
Yes.
saying like, this is something. If enough people see this, the hype will kind of. This is a very
It's true.
hypeable show at this point.
It's
you
very
know?
true.
They knew that shit was hot fire. They put it in our lap, say, hey, here, you go watch it. Snatch it right from us.
We said no, we'll get to that hot fire later. We'll.
Acting too cool for school, man. Missed out.
Well,
What else? Anything else you guys watched? I don't have anything else. Well, actually, I take that back. Real quick, I just want to mention Nobody Wants This season 2, Netflix.
Good?
Love it. Love
Okay.
it. Love season 1.
Me
love
too.
season 2. Love this show. It's hilarious. Great cast. Great cast. Sorry. Uh yeah,
Think
just
about
like
caskets and people dying in that.
yeah.
There.
the chemistry
I
is
thought it
off
was
the
like I
charts.
thought it was like maybe a bourbon that we were endorsing. Great
Yeah,
cast.
no, I was like, yeah, that's perfect. Yeah, great cast. Just topically, tons of awesome stuff. Just relationship stuff is all over the show. And yeah, the chemistry is off the charts.
Cool,
And
cool.
yeah, I love this show. I'm so happy it's back. We watched like 5 episodes so far. Hope to finish it this week. But yeah, that's back on Netflix, so definitely recommending that. Anything else you guys checked out?
Well,
Yeah.
I'll just say I'm loving The Chair Company on HBO Max, the Tim
Okay.
Robinson show. Um, it's very much like at this point, I just love the kind of thing that it is. I love that it is a Tim Robinson experience, but it's got like a real sort of what the hell's happening kind of conspiracy storyline going too. It's so funny. And it's full of, we were talking earlier about kind of amateur actors. It's full of amateur actors or actors you've never seen before playing bit parts. I mean, there's a few people like Lake Bell and Lou Diamond Phillips that are in it that you know, but pretty
Oh,
much,
nice.
and then Jim Downey is actually in it, the SNL writer who was in One Battle After Another recently. So he's having kind of a moment, oddly. But some outside of those people, just it's just that kind of Tim Robinson comedy. I would think that if you were someone like Ronald, who loves Tim Robinson but didn't fall in love with Friendship, this show is a little bit more like, this feels a little bit more like a Tim Robinson project and less like he's in a project where someone's using his persona, so I
Ah.
would think that you might enjoy this a little bit more than you did Friendship, Ronald. But
Okay.
if you're out there and you're like me and you just think Tim Robinson when he's on is just so funny, this show gives you lots of great little Tim Robinson kind of freak out moments. But the story that it's part of, it's like, it's one of those things where he's a little bit more competent than his character would normally be, and they make up for that by putting him in a situation that is truly bizarre. Like, he does a few things wrong and a few things right, and he does kind of trip up on his own idiocy. But there's also a point of, you go, well, if I was the same guy in this situation, even if I did everything right, he's still in. There's still a moment after which he's in a fucked up situation. So I don't know how much it's going to be like a real conspiracy, or if it's going to really get real, or if it's going to always be kind of surreal and kind of, is anything really going on? But where it is now, there's definitely some weird, shady shit happening,
Oh,
and so
wow.
I'll be very curious to see where Tim Robinson and his team want to take a project like this, where it's like, we're going to use that style of comedy, but we're going to do something, a show that could conceivably, it's not quite Severance, but it's got like elements of that type of show where you really do wonder what's going on, like what's really behind the story that's happening here. So that's great. I also saw, I don't know if anyone else even knows that there was a remake of The Hand That Rocks the Cradle that came out on
Yeah,
Hulu. I haven't seen a whole lot about it. It's an interesting one. Have either of you guys watched that
I
by
have
any
Not
chance?
not.
yet.
It might be more interesting to talk about it if you watch it, just because it is. I don't think it's as fun in the kind of pulpy way as the original, but it does do an interesting enough update of it, in the sense that it's dealing with a slightly new version of the kind of toxic nanny character, and like why she's victimizing this woman and her family.
Hmm.
And also a little bit of that judgy people going back and forth about formula versus breast milk, that
Breast
type of
milk.
stuff. It's got a little bit of that modern, that stuff we know about, kind of toxic
Yeah, yeah,
mom stuff.
yeah.
But in some ways, it's like, I wish it had gone more bonkers to be a little bit more like the OG one. But in other ways, I totally get that they're doing us, not like an elevated version. They're just doing a slightly modern version of it. But
Yeah.
I don't think it's as memorable of a movie as the original was. But it does have a couple people that are really good in it, and Martin Starr's in it, and you just know he's shown up to not come out too well in a movie like this. But it's that kind of movie. Somebody has to get unalived, as they say on TikTok. So I don't know. I think if it's sitting right there on Hulu. So I would say, if you want that kind of movie, that kind of like, it's like a Hallmark version of a horror movie almost, is what it feels like. But it was fun to watch, and can't remember if I said I'd see. Oh, there's a doc right now on Netflix called The Perfect Neighbor, which is extremely
Oh, yeah.
infuriating and extremely sad, and it's totally gonna get you mad if you watch it. But what is interesting about it is that it's totally assembled from like body cam footage and Ring cameras and people's phones, and I don't know if there's even a single like interview style interview in it. I think it's all taken from footage, that
Yeah,
found
that's what it
footage in that
is.
sense. So it's kind of impressive that they got so much stuff. Like there's I mean, it's all the stuff you know from true crime stuff, but it's like, oh, someone's going to take the interrogation footage, and they're going to take the 911 call, and they're going to take the body cam footage, and they're going to take the ring camera footage, and you actually knit together a pretty complete narrative of this. Like watching a train wreck happen in slow motion sort of feeling that you have with this story, but it's totally
Yeah.
the busybody Karen. They even call her a Karen in the film,
Wow.
but it's like it's that type of person who is her name's Susan, but she is a Karen. And it's like it's just that whole thing. And I say that with all due respect. There's a woman I know named Karen who's one of the nicest ladies I've ever known. And she's commented on how much it bothers her that name is has been sullied like that. But just that idea, we all culturally understand who that person is, and this
Yeah,
movie
sure.
really makes you think about that person who just has to call the cops on the kids that are making noise, or has to bother their neighbors, and has to be that person, and how easy it would be not to be that person. You know what I mean? I think
Yeah.
is what you come out thinking, but also just it's a tragic story. I'm sure people either want to watch this kind of thing or don't. I barely did. I knew it would make me mad, but I also knew that I was curious about how they did like I said, the way that it's assembled. And I do think it's impressive in that sense. It is a little bit brutal, though. Like when it kind of keeps going and you finally get to the end and you realize why it went as far as it did. But there's a point where the story has kind of been told and you're still, dealing with like family members finding out that someone they love has been killed. Like there's so much stuff that really, that if you don't watch this kind of thing because of how depressing it can be, this one is that film. But it also kind of leans into it, and in a way that a lot of times with true crime, you don't spend as much time maybe paying homage to the tragedy of what happens to a person. So I think that it's a difficult watch, but maybe an important movie. I don't know. It's tough to know who needs to watch this film that will watch it is the question. And I was in the
Right.
middle of it thinking that, like, it seems like most people that watch this movie will probably already have imbibed the lesson that this movie might teach you. But I don't know. It's definitely well done.
Yeah, I'm looking forward to seeing it. We tried to start it the other day and Aaron was not having it.
Yeah.
Too I don't know, overwhelming,
Yeah.
overstimulated, motion sickness she was saying from like the body cam footage and things like that.
Oh, it's definitely that.
Yeah, no, it wasn't happening.
Yeah.
But I do plan to watch it, so I'm glad that you were able to check it out. All right, cool. Well, that's it. I'm excited to check out more Welcome to Derry whenever we get that or when it comes out next week. But again, my required viewing pick for next week is Code 3. Again, it's on VOD for rent or purchase if you want to check it out. For that episode, movieschmovie.com is the website. You can go there to subscribe to the podcast, listen to the podcast, jump into any podcast platform that you prefer to use. And if you do subscribe, leave us a review, a rating, anything like that would be helpful. If you prefer YouTube, you can go to youtube.com/movieschmovie podcast and you can watch, listen, subscribe, anything there. I mean, it's really a great option. We also have the shorts on there. If you don't want to kind of stick around for the full episode, you can at least kind of browse through there and something strikes your fancy, just watch a shorter clip and it all helps us out. And if you do subscribe again, hit the bell so you get notified when new episodes come out. Other than that, thank you so much for listening. And as always, you've made our day. Thanks.
Bye.